Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Another episode of Echo Podcast. Today we have John Paul Torres, who is running for Congress. Um, Crazy thing, as you may see on my shows, have no real guidance. I saw his Facebook come up. I saw some of his posts and some of his stands, and one comment led to another one, and all of a sudden we're messaging, and he's gracious enough to say, "Yeah, Carlos, I give you some of my time to your crazy schedule and ideas." So thank you so much, John, for joining us today. I know you got a very short time.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. I appreciate you having me.
So you are in Minnesota, I believe, right?
No, Michigan. Michigan.
Michigan. Sorry.
Old state,
So
yeah.
all right. So what? Tell us about yourself. This is the first time you and I meet. We don't know each other.
Yeah.
I was telling you a little bit about yourself, about myself before going in. You know that I'm a Spanish interpreter. This is just like something fun to do, bring out information to the masses. Without news bias and stuff, and give a free place for you to feel free to talk about things that you might not get the time, or it doesn't fall within whatever other person wants to show. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, telling us who you are, what you're running for, some of yourself. I've seen some of your past, your ad says that your dad was an immigrant and stuff like that. I'm an immigrant myself. My son is a first generation. So
Good. Yeah. He's like me, first generation. Yeah. So I'm John Paul Torres. I'm running for Congress, the 11th congressional district in Michigan. So it is a district just outside of Detroit. So we kind of border Detroit, come all the way into the suburbs of Oakland County. So I've lived in this district pretty much most of my life and raised my family here for the past 28 years now. I work in government in public sector. I've been a public servant for 25 years. The past 10 years, I've been an elected leader overseeing or being on the Waterford School Board, which is one of the larger school districts in the state of Michigan. And my school district encompasses about 4 cities in the congressional district, so represent about 100,000 people. And why I'm running is, there are various issues. One of the most at the forefront is immigration. And I know you share a passion for that. My father came to this country undocumented back in the 1960s. He made his way eventually up to Michigan. He was inspired by the civil rights movement. He saw Dr. King and all of the great things that they were doing to fight for their civil liberties and their civil rights. And my father joined in. Inspired him so much that he went on to become a U.S. citizen. He eventually learned English and then went on to join the United States Army. So he actually is a former undocumented immigrant and a United States Army veteran. And if you know anything about
and that's
Michigan,
the thing.
yeah,
Many people don't. I'm sorry to cut you off. Many people don't realize that's one of the paths that many of us immigrants see as a possibility, because you got so many little choices that normally they tell you, well, if you want a shot in about 10 years, you got to join the army now. And maybe that's a path to get there. People don't realize that.
well, for my dad, it was more so that he already had a path and got citizenship, and then decided,
That's even
his
better.
new country, that he now wanted to join the army. So he served in the army and then went on to serve on the auto line here in Michigan. Everybody is attached to the automotive industry. He served on the auto line for 40 years, and I watched him as a union leader. He was a leader in the United Auto Workers movement. So I grew up around politics in the Union Hall, and I knew
I
early
have
on.
one of their signs in my
You do,
front yard.
yeah,
It says Trump is scab.
yeah, yep.
Because I actually did a
I
whole
have to,
weekend interpretation for the UAW, one of their chapters over here.
I have to send you the picture that I have, a picture of me with a shirt. This is the UAW, and this is Trump as a scab. So I have a shirt.
I got that one. It's every
Yeah,
so often I take it out. You don't want to be a target all the time.
yeah, and so so immigration's at the forefront. Where you and I both are seeing what the Trump administration is doing, what he did in his first administration, and now what he's doing in the second administration, and even coming harder at immigrants. And what he's doing is he's rounding people up and saying that they're all bad, they're all these bad actors and criminals. And sure, there's going to be your few that are bad, but what he's doing is he's labeling them all as gang members and saying that they're all these horrible people. Let's put them in jail. And for me, I look at it as though we have to have comprehensive immigration reform in this country. That's one of the issues that I believe is very important to not only me and to you, but to many people in this country. They want a pathway to citizenship. Overwhelmingly, people believe in DACA. They believe in kids who came here by no choice of their own, getting a path to citizenship, doing all of the right things, and achieving the American dream. And then let's move on to their parents and give them a path to citizenship as well. Then to allowing others to come into the country, because the United States is the beacon of light. It's the land of opportunity, and nobody's saying you can't secure the border. We're just saying.
And there's a misconception on that,
Right.
because like I not only interpret for some farm worker labor union that they have finally gotten together to get some stuff going. Kind of like I want a day off a week
Yep.
in 3
Organizing.
sick days paid a year. That's their whole, what they were to gain. But even when I'm having conversations with, and I don't want to, because anybody can easily Google my address. I don't want to say a specific location, but people that I know who you would say, okay, you grew up in the mountains, you're old school, let's call it. And even they go and say, well, I agree that they're paying taxes, they're doing their things, they got no paperwork. Why don't they ask for paperwork? Why don't they go through the thing? And I had a conversation. Well, how can you, go get this thing in Florida, but I'm not going to give you a plane ticket. You're going to have to walk and figure out your way to get there because you're not allowed to do anything else. And we're going to put roadblocks all throughout the whole thing. There's only a couple of roads that you can get to, and they are extremely difficult to achieve. Kind of like, do I have $500,000 to invest in a business? Am I a genius? Do I have the kind of degree that it's needed here? And that takes $35,000 in immigration processes, lawyers, and fees. Who has that kind of money? Yes, there are ways. Do it legally. For somebody like me, I don't know what path your dad had, for example, but I had decisions to make. I knew people getting married for $5,000. I'll pay you $2,500 right now. We'll get married. Once the appointment is done, I'll give you another $2,500, $5,000. No, other people would trick people into getting married just to get the paperwork.
Right, and
because oh my God, there's no way.
Right, and I think it's like you're saying, it's complicated. It's very complicated. It's not as easy as though I'm just going to go and I'm going to get my papers and boom, I'm good. It is.
You know what it is to pay taxes and say, yeah, I'm not going to collect any of that. I have the Social Security code once and says, hey, by the way, you got some uncollected funds. Oh, thank you. They will stay uncollected.
And it's the thing is that people don't realize that, the people that are here who are undocumented, they're helping sustain our hospitality, our restaurants, our farm workers, right? They're working in these industries where they want them to work and they want the fruits of the labor that they're doing, but then they want to vilify them on the other end. And for me, that's where I believe we as a Latino community, we have to call them out and say, you want, your cake and eat it too, right? You want to, use us, work us, but then you want to vilify us on the other end, right? Which is what the Trump administration is doing. And then labeling all, shaming us all and saying, oh, we picked up this person around the corner. They're an undocumented gang member. How do you know they're a gang member? Who says, the same people.
But we've seen that for a long time with the, Black community as well, where we're going to paint you in this way and we're going to treat you this way. But we always focus on, it's not my community being targeted, so we'll support you, but from far away. You know what I mean? I don't want to stir the water over here.
So I think there's
One
really a
thing,
movement for that. There's a path. A lot of people, not only within the Latino community, within all of our communities, that people you talk to people right now. I'm campaigning. I'm out there. I'm talking to people. They want a pathway to citizenship for people. They want people to be
because
treated
they wanted to
humanely.
contribute and just enjoy everything the same
Yeah,
way.
yeah, and they
Now,
want it for them.
if I may ask a question,
Hmm.
because we see right now, like what I'm hoping it's new blood being injected into the party, where it's new thoughts, more less fearful. Because see, people think that if you stand up to a bully, then you're a bully,
Hmm.
but you have to be a wall to a bully.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
can't let it push you away. But if you try to hurt me, you're gonna hurt yourself.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Kind of like you go rob somebody, you're gonna go to jail. So we made a mistake in the civil revolution where we pardon everybody and say, well, if we forgive you, you promise you won't do it again. We ended up with, the kind of voting system that we have now, which dilutes everybody's votes. Are you going to stand up to it? Like, are you going to, we just have 23 Democrats say no, and a whole bunch of the ones say, we're here, but we're going to keep our mouth shut with impeachment articles, which are well beyond necessary.
yeah,
Oh, because we want to do it the right way. What is the right way to get the criminal out of your house?
right. And I think you're stressing of why I decided to run was that I didn't see enough people within our party, even elected leaders, standing up. The
Leading.
parties being complicit with just looking the other way with the harm that Trump is doing and the things that they know obviously are bad. And then the people within the Democratic Party that just say, well, we don't like it, but he's going to take our federal dollars. He's going to make life harder for us. But you know what? Like you said, you have to stand up to a bully, and that was what I learned. And one of the things that you have to understand when you're in politics and government is that it's not as glorious and beautiful as people think. You get in there and you're challenged.
Oh, that gotta be a bloodbath. I'm
And
assuming that's why I decided I'm gonna raise my voice in this
yeah,
ambience than politics because
and you
gee,
and you're challenged.
you gotta have balls for
You're
that to
challenged by
join in.
yeah, you're challenged by people, and I've seen that over the 10 years that I've been an elected leader, where I'm told in the room that I'm wrong, but I stood by my values and I stood by who I was, and then I persuaded people, and one vote turned to two, two turned to three, and then all of a sudden we had a majority. So I think what you
And
have
it's
to
not
do,
bad to be wrong, to admit that we're
yeah,
wrong if we are. But if you're telling me, well, the sky right now, there's three suns and a meteorite coming down, then yeah, you need more than that.
I think that's one of the things you have to realize in politics and when you're running for office is that you have to stand true to your values and who you are. And that was what I said when I took this on. I said, I'm going to be true to my core, be true to who I am, why I'm running. It's not just about the immigration issue. It's about, the Trump administration and the harm that they're doing, to our country, the attacks on the middle class, the attacks on the working class, the bailout to the billionaires, the top 1%, was we saw this big bill
All
that
the
passed.
pardons.
The pardons to the January 6th, looking the other way when people do bad things, the attacks on public education, which is where I'm at in the field, the world that I'm in, and as far as the school board, the attacks on kids that are different, telling them that you can't accommodate kids, attacks on books, on education, attacks on college, and telling people that going to school is not the way, when it is. It is the beauty of this country and the education.
That's the whole thing. It should be your choice
Mhm.
what I want to go for. I mean, the country will never get in a worse shape for paying for somebody's college and make sure that we have somebody smart doing. I mean, there are other world economies in first world countries that they provide free education for foreigners
Mhm.
because they want to attract some of them to stay in their place.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, most people, we're meeting in the middle. Most people, even the people that voted for Trump in this last election, they're somewhere in that middle range, and they're kind of choosing what they thought may have been the lesser of two evils, right, or whatever it would be.
Which is still baffles me.
Yeah, and I think
I mean, you
people,
literally had a DA and a felon. couldn't be any more clear than that.
What I think what people are coming to now in this country is they're looking at it and they're saying, okay, I'm hearing this a lot. We gotta meet somewhere in the middle, to a degree, but we can't compromise our values either. And so for me is if meeting in the middle doesn't mean that I'm the one compromising and you're not, right? We both got to give a little bit of something. And there's certain things that I will not fold on, right? There are certain tenets and values that I have. And I think that's one of the unique things that you have to have in somebody who is an elected official or who's somebody who's running for office. You have to have a strong values. You have to have tenets for who you are, and you can't compromise. So in my campaign, I pledged to take no corporate money, and I pledged to take no APAC money as well. So the thing is that because to me it's important that I stand by my values, I stand by who I am and what I'm about, and I think if you can't do that in your own campaign when you're running for office, then when you actually get to office, what are you going to do? You're going to compromise.
That is true. Now, can I ask about accountability, right?
Yes.
So let's say, because you're running for 2026, so God willing, you get elected and you get into office. And at this point, we have already Epstein files have been fully released. We know who the PDF file is, and parties, non-parties, actors, musicians, doesn't matter, presidents, ex-presidents. Will you stop the train and say, hold on, we got to see that the guardrails are set and the engine is running properly, or you still going full ahead and make sure that everybody's accountable?
Everybody needs to be held accountable. The guardrails are there because though the guardrails are separation of powers, our Congress, our House, our Senate, our judiciary, which checks and balance, and our executive branch, right? Everyone checks each other. There's veto power. There's courts can overrule legislation that's passed by Congress. The president isn't a king. They have no authority. They have no full unilateral authority. So I think for me, I look at it as though we got to move full steam ahead and hold people accountable, no matter what party they are, right?
Will you have voted to impeach on this vote that they did?
On the Epstein files, we have to.
No, on the impeachment articles that they just did a couple of days ago or so.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, on the impeachment articles,
Yeah.
And I think that you look at it and you have to assure that they are actually impeachable offenses that we have and that they're written out correct. But I'm all for it, right? If somebody has acted in a manner that is impeachable, we should proceed in that fashion and not look the other way, because one of the things that we're lacking right now is accountability in our government. And it appears to be that the people who should be held accountable aren't held accountable. And the people who are the lesser of power, the lesser of having, the authorities, are the ones who are held accountable. You probably see it every single day in the court system. The people who make.
Unfortunately, I can't comment much on it, but
you probably see that all the time, and that. But then you see the people who have the money and the power and the wealth, and they get away with these things, right? And let's even go back to look at January 6th and the Trump administration, and all the January 6th rioters who went out there.
It's fun. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The connection was lagging for a minute. Actually, it is funny you say that, because obviously, okay, so many people have a misconception of public defenders, for example. Like, oh my God, you got a public defender, you're screwed. It is actually the opposite. It's like having a teacher on a private school. They really believe in their job and they really want to help you. Not saying that paid attorneys are doing it for the money, because everybody has different goals. But like those kind of situations, you actually, and I work, if you look at New York State, my range of clients is about half the state, from central New York all the way to Niagara Falls and Pennsylvania area. I work all that area and drive from a small village town to federal courts and everything in between. in the vast majority of the sentiments from, I mean, the court, they can only deal with traffic tickets to anything else, to lawyers, everything. And it's like, what the hell is going on?
Mhm.
Because you would have those fierceful arguments and you still have them. Everybody's fighting for their side. We want, if we go in trouble, we want somebody fighting hard for us.
Right.
We
Yeah.
only hate defense attorneys when they're defending somebody we don't like.
Mhm.
Now, I would say they are breaking down.
Mhm.
Their soul is being like, this is not what I signed up for.
Mhm.
This is from probation department to just even immigration officers themselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
But you can't say anything because you're so low at the bottom of the totem pole that you can just easily be dismissed.
Right. And the thing is that, we got to bring the power back to the people, and we need to elect leaders who are actually representative of the people. One thing that I find out in what I find in this race and many other races, there's a reason why the same politicians keep always winning, or the rich and the powerful always get the positions because it costs money. It costs
And
resources.
now they're trying to eliminate even those guardrails as to donations.
Yeah,
They just want
it
to go
costs.
straight to the politician and buy you guys off.
So, but one of the things,
Like,
the beauties that we have in today's day and age is you can now build people power. You can build power through things
yes,
like this, through these podcasts. You can build power by getting on social media. That's how you learned about me, from some simple Facebook ads, that we can
where
run.
can people donate to you if they want to donate to your campaign?
Yeah, working people, go to johnpaultorresforcongress.com and you campaign. You can watch my launch video, and even individual donations. People think you got to give $100, you got to give $50. You can give $5, you can give $4, $3, $2, $1. It all
If
adds up.
everybody in the country gives you $1, that's 300 million.
There you go.
You know,
You know,
taking kids and whatnot
and
out.
so people, I always tell people, even if you give $2, $3, $4, don't think that you have to wait till you have $100 to give, because your candidate might not be in the race anymore by that point, right? Because
So
you got
let
to
me
continue.
ask you, what do you do with the donations? What, like, run us a regular Joe like me that
Yeah.
just sees the ads and says, hey, don't scroll, do this. And I'm like, oh my God, you're telling me that you don't have supporters to just sign blank checks to you?
It's like running a business. So you think about the overhead, right? You got to have a campaign team, you got to have a campaign manager, you got to have somebody building your website, you got to have a graphic designer in today's day and age, you got to have a digital media campaign, you got to have somebody look over your finance records and make sure they're in compliance, so you're in line with the federal rules. um, you got to have somebody help you raise money, right? Tell you, like, these are the kinds of things that you should do, because we're not all experts, right? We're somebody like me. I know government, politics, and I know what I want to do, but I need a team of people to come help me, right? I need to coordinate,
Yeah.
volunteers. I need to buy signs. I need to buy the wire for the signs, though it's expensive. You got
Yeah.
to buy campaign flyers, right? You got to hold fundraisers. It costs money to hold fundraisers. So the money goes. And so there's a lot of things underneath the umbrella of a campaign that you're paying for, and so you're spending money as you get it. But for me, I'm always been somebody who's very diligent with how, and purposeful with how I spend my resources and what I do. And for my path forward, that I look at what we're doing, we have campaign fundraising goals that we're trying to hit. And we hit one, then we get to the next, then we get to the next. And one of the things that you find is that the more viable you become, the more money you raise, the more your campaign's out there, the more backing you start to get. And then people start giving you money. And then you start getting political action committees. So I'm all for political action committees, donating and moving
Unfortunately,
money.
you got to have your face on the TV and your voice on the radio for people to be able to
Right.
remember.
But it's got to be the right political action committees. So a lot of the ones that I'm working with are like labor PACs, the UAW, the AFSCME, the MEA, which is the Michigan Association or Michigan Education Association. So the teachers unions, all the electrical, IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical
Hard
Workers.
work and money that needs to be used
So,
wisely
all
and
those
for a
trade workers
good
are getting out.
resource, a good effort.
Yep. And then a lot of the social justice, political action committees who are pushing, they want to elect people to Congress who are going to pass legislation that is going to be for the people, by the people, that's going to represent the middle class, the working class, that's going to look at things like criminal justice reform and what does that look like in our country. It's going to look at things like, supporting our workers, everybody who's the 50% and below, not the 50% and above, looking at the people who are on the Affordable Care Act and making sure that the subsidies don't rise, people that they have.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's another one freaking me out right now.
That they have, Medicaid and Medicare, all those different kinds of things. So those are the kinds of groups that I want being involved with my campaign. And those are the ones that I seek out and I go for their endorsements because I align with them. I don't want to align with people who are going to buy my vote and buy me to be a puppet in Congress.
Well, that's awesome to hear. So with that part, because I know that when we started, you told me, Carlos, by like 7, maybe 7:05, I gotta be heading out because I got something else to do. It's 7:10. Somebody behind you must be like, dude, get going. And so, but before that, just a couple of things. One, please feel free to use my Echo PKDK resources, to help spread your voice and your message. Welcome to come back and to be able to even use it as your own platform if you need to. Also, that drawing, that painting in the back, it is freaking awesome.
The trees, you like it?
Oh my God. I mean, like, I don't know if you noticed throughout the whole time, my eyes keep looking up, but that's just because I keep going. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. That's why I got it. I like it a lot. Did
you purchase it?
Yeah, it brings the outdoor in. It's, and I like the beauty of it. And I read somewhere years ago that if you have an office, you should have a window. And if you don't have a window, you should always have a picture of nature, a painting of nature.
That's my window from the basement.
Yeah. I do have a window, but my window is my neighborhood, so I'm just looking at a bunch of houses. So it's nice to have some behind me. So, but yeah. So yeah, appreciate that. Yeah.
It reminds me of a painting a friend of mine did as a teenager. Like he used to draw and stuff, and unfortunately he lost an eye because of something that happened. He literally just got a headache, and within 6 months he lost the eye from a tumor and stuff. So he lost his depth perception and can no longer draw like he doesn't want to. But he has one very similar to that one in color. Okay. So it's like if he would have made a black and white version. And so, yeah, well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be able to talk to you.
I appreciate you, man. I have to come back on. It was great. It was great having the conversation with you.
Like your dad was very, very Catholic, wasn't he?
My dad, yeah. My mom and dad were both. Yeah, my mom.
Juan Pablo II. You got named after Juan Pablo II.
No, Juan Pablo.
The Pope.
Yeah, Juan Pablo II. Yeah, that is it. Yo primero, primero Juan Pablo. So el primero. Porque,
el segundo fue en los 80, sí.
Yeah, because John Paul I died.
¿Qué edad tienes? How old are you?
47 años. So
okay.
Murieron Juan Pablo I cuando yo lo nació. So es como 2 meses.
Okay.
Que lo murieron Juan Pablo I, and then I was born about 2 weeks after he passed. So my mother named me after John Paul I. So, but my mother was very Catholic, so that's how I ended up with the name. But you got it. Yeah, a lot of people don't catch that. So.
Growing up in Venezuela, my I don't know. You may not see it now. I never saw it, but she had a portrait of him. And every time I was visiting, I was like around 5 or 7. She would be like, "Oh my God, this is my mini Juan Pablo II. You look just like him." And I was like, "Oh my God." Oh yeah, his face was just every day I had to go right by him.
Well,
So,
thank you. I
well,
appreciate you. And,
thank you so much again. I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
I will. Yeah. And like I said,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
John Paul Torres for Congress, John Paul Torres for Congress.com. Check me out. You can go on the website. You can see my launch video. You can learn about my campaign, my family. You can donate on there. You can see where I stand on the issues. And it's going to be a long race. We're getting through this first quarter, ends December 31st. Come January, we'll be in the new year, and in August is the primary, and then the general will be in November. I have 7 people that I'm running against so far, approximately 7 that we're at in this primary. So in our Democratic primary, but I feel good about it. We represent a lot of people. We're getting our name out there. Got good name recognition, but we just got to keep building it up. So thank you.
Well, anything we can do to help, I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully, we get to talk more often. Maybe we can do a version in Spanish, make an episode in Spanish as well. And so, I hope you have a great evening. Thank you so much, Joe Paul.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to follow this podcast so that you don't miss any new episodes. You can also search